चाय वाला कप, एक छोटी मोटी कप, कोई बात प्यारी प्यारी जाए दिल में तो छाप। आजा करेगा पुशअप कोई बात ले चला, कुछ मुझे सीख कुछ मुझको सिखा। विड़यावड़ मेरे, विड़यावड़ मेरे, विड़यावड़ मेरे, विड़यावड़ मेरे, विड़यावड़ मेरे, विड़यावड़ मेरे, प्यारी प्यारी जाए दिल में तो छाप। आजा करेगा पुशअप कोई बात ले चला।
The magic of theatre has a very vast playing field today, wherein theatre techniques adapt to contemporary needs as well as leverage new technologies, leadership training, therapy, emotional intelligence, ease in managing complex interpersonal dynamics is something we all require in every area of our personal, our learn spaces, our businesses, and professional lives. Across the generations, guys. Looking for a coach? Vipul Malhotra checks all the boxes. Master coach and psychodrama director, leadership facilitator, and his favorite persona, corporate actor. Vipul has a very interesting life, to put it mildly. Do listen to the video to know all about it. Hello, hello! Hello, guys! Welcome to the podcast, Theatre of Joy. Today, meet Vipul Malhotra. Vipul, as you listen, you will know what exactly Vipul is. And he's so many things. I think I will let the podcast tell you what he is.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Welcome, Vipul. Thank you for doing this. Thank you so much.
No, I'm really
so
excited.
Honored.
I am honored actually to be here. I've been wanting to meet you for so long.
Oh, and yes.
This is great. Yeah.
This is great. So,
Hanji.
tell everyone what you do and why am I so excited about it?
Okay, so I have 3 avatars that that show up in my life. They're like roles, right? One of them is related to the work that I do, mostly with the corporate sector. It's the role of a coach. And the second is also the role of a workshop facilitator, trainer, facilitator, right? Where I work with groups, again in corporates. But the third one, which is very close to my heart, is the role of an actor.
Okay.
And I think the other two also took form once I embraced the third one, the role of an actor.
Okay.
So, and of course, that's a long story. Yeah. But I honestly feel that the role of an actor and everything that I've learned in that role has really helped the other two roles blossom. The role of a coach and the role of a
Sorry for
facilitator.
the silly question.
Yes.
But
No silly questions.
what is an actor doing in serious corporate trainings?
Well, I think there's a very, very natural connection, between acting or an actor and the corporate role. And the connection is that, we're all playing different roles, right? We're playing managers, supervisors, so many roles in the corporate sector. We're either individual contributors or we're leading teams or leading people, right? So I feel the world of acting, the world of theater can really help do these roles in a more effective manner. Because dono jo hain, the world of theater and the world of acting, they want one thing, and that one thing is performance. Right? So when we're on the stage, right, we worked so hard till that day, right? And we don't have a second take. So performance becomes so important to the world of theater, right? And similarly, in the corporate world, performance is everything. They're what they call their KRAs, their OKRs, their KPIs, their measure of success, goals, everything is linked to performance. Right? So that's at that level, that's the connection there is.
Yeah, but again, coming from a layperson, the acting is accepted when it is in a play and in a theater situation.
Right.
But normally, people don't really like acting to be sort of brought into life, and they feel the person is not being authentic.
Right. Okay, so when we are talking about acting in the corporate sector, we're not teaching them to become actors. What we're trying to say is that a lot of times people are using their cognitive part of thinking in problem solving, in having conversations, in leading people, and that I feel falls short. If you ever want to make a change, if you want to create a transformation, what acting does, on the other hand, is that it uses the whole self. It uses the mental,
Yeah.
it uses the physical, it uses the emotional,
Yeah.
it uses the visual, right? So it uses the whole self. And when the whole self, is engaged and we are able to embody that, then I feel real change can happen.
Yeah. So improvisation.
Yeah, improvisation, because a lot of times, if you're in the corporate sector, you don't know when a customer complaint might come or something may just fall, right? So how can you be spontaneous and yet be effective?
Yes.
I feel what we do as actors is we teach people how they can be spontaneous and then be creative. So
Yes.
that's why I owe so much to the world of acting, and I can see the connection that it has with the work culture, whether it's corporate or any kind of work. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what question you're going to throw at me. I can spontaneously respond to it.
Yeah. No, just tell us. Tell us. We're all sitting, waiting on your each word.
Okay. So I can start with my own story, and I think, and then we can go into what inspired me to, to become an actor and a coach, both. So when I was about 7-8 year old, I was. My father was in the army, by the way. So we were in this army gathering, and I remember that, there was this table, and he picked me up and he put me on the table, and he said, "So Vipul, mimic someone." So in those days, there was this very famous series called Hum Log, right? And there were these characters in Hum Log. So I mimicked one of them, and then there was this ad, Nirma ad, right? So I acted. There's this girl who's wearing a skirt. I wasn't wearing a skirt, but so I mimicked that, and then I mimicked some of his friends, and I got a huge round of applause. Now, in that moment, Harleen, I felt this energy that I hadn't felt earlier.
You found your purpose.
I found a purpose. I really felt alive. Right? Now, as a 7-8 year old, I didn't make much meaning of it. But as I grew up, and as I went on with my life, I realized, especially when I did a course in acting in 2007, I found the same passion and energy. And up until then, I didn't really feel in the zone with the work that I was doing. It was very good. It gave me everything that I know about the corporate life today. But I didn't feel alive, And so,
See what you mean.
yeah, so in that moment when I was doing this acting course with Barry John, right? And in the Barry John acting studio, I felt the same energy. And I felt, oh, I can't let it go now. Right? I can't let it go because, and I had let it go. I didn't pursue a career in acting, or I didn't pursue a career in, even I didn't even know that I wanted to do coaching because I didn't let those deeper parts of myself out, and that's what acting does. I feel that's what theater does. It seeps deeper into your subconscious and those spaces that you haven't accessed.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I love the work that I do, because I work with people and I help them embody stuff,
And
not
you help
just
them do the same.
yeah, you not just
Reach
talk
into
about
the-
it, but really reach deep into it, play with it, experiment with it, and reflect on it.
Yeah,
So and see what what works for them. But go ahead and take that risk to feel alive. So that's what I did. So and then when I was in the zone, I didn't want to let it go, and that was the beginning of my career in learning and development and as a coach. Yeah, and as a facilitator.
So I believe that business is a platform in which you can create miracles.
Right.
And, put together business and training and,
Yeah.
a space where you can learn to create miracles and learn the miracle that you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I when we talk about, say, things like presence, or even teaching people how to give a powerful presentation, right? Then there are so many aspects of yourself that you can bring forward, because a lot of times people are operating from here, and their body is just not talking, right? So people who are listening to them are not so engaged. I mean, they may be talking a lot of sense. There's a lot of data that they're providing. But the right part of the brain, which is looking for some emotion, some image, some color, some action, is not engaged. So over a period of time, people get bored. So what we do is we connect with, we work with people, with executives, and we share with them what potential they really have and that they're not tapping into, right? So it's a very freeing experience.
Yes.
It's a very freeing experience.
Yeah, the first you open up and then you build on what you already have.
Exactly. And what you experience, so there's something that one experiences in the workshops that I do. And then there's this aspect of reflection and putting it into action, saying that when you go out into the real world, how can you, whatever you experience, how can you translate that into action with the outer world?
It's quite a challenge because everything from our education system to way our parents bring us up, it's all about trying to stuff things into you without emptying the cup, as they say.
Absolutely.
Without,
Absolutely. And there's so much of conditioning. There are parental messages, and even not the direct parental messages. Like, I feel there was a part of me that got a message from my father that I have to do well financially, I have to do well, I have to have a name in the society.
Socially,
And there was nothing wrong with those messages. It's just that the way I received them was that I have to climb the corporate ladder, right? So what did I do? I didn't have the guts to tell him that I want to become an actor. Right? In fact, there was this very interesting thing that happened when I was about 11-year-old. My grandmom would often talk to me about her life challenges, and I would sit and listen to her. And she was really fond of me. She was actually my grandmom's younger sister. So she was really fond of me. And then after a while, I would see her smile and she would have this glow on her face. And I experienced that with a lot of older people. And I always felt that, and in that moment, I didn't know what was happening, because as a young kid, I was so inquisitive about the adult world. I was always wondering, adults talk about something that's really important, and I really want to know what it's all about.
They know more than me.
They know more than me, and they listen to the news and talk about important stuff. So here was an adult who was willing to share her heart out, and this was really interesting. But what I didn't know was that actually what I was doing was using one of the competencies of coaching, which is listening intently. And I love doing that. I love listening. I love observing people, right? And so when I was, when I really became aware of the fact that I want to move on from the corporate life, from a 9-to-5 job, and become a coach and a facilitator, this was the other thing that I wanted to explore, which is how can I help people? How can I support them? How can I work with them using my strengths and my abilities of listening and observation? And that's where this journey into the world of psychology actually started.
You landed at the right spot, because that's the key.
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah.
And then what was interesting is then I saw there was this marriage that could happen between theater and coaching and training, right? And I said, this is the sweet spot for me.
Yeah, sweet spot is right.
So,
Yeah.
and I was always amazed at people using their whole selves as opposed to just doing boring presentations. Or
Yeah, I remember I learned quite quickly from reading Dale Carnegie, How to Make Friends and Influence People was all about what you threw out,
right,
right? Confidence, look in the eyes, firm handshake.
right.
And then I started reading about, transformation
Yeah,
as a way to say communicate better.
yeah.
You
Absolutely.
what you're saying. So some internal kind of, and as also as a part of communicating.
Yeah,
Your intention is to learn as much
yeah.
from your communication,
Absolutely.
which which is so important. And this was ages ago, and it's surprising that still people are following that mode of throwing themselves out at the world rather than receiving the world
Hmm.
and
That's
enriching
interesting.
their lives and whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So wonderful. You started off right.
Well, this is the other thing, Harleen. I'm not so sure about right or wrong. I just feel that it was right for me.
Yeah, I
I
guess.
just feel that I I was I needed oxygen, and I found this this oxygen when I
Yeah.
chose what I love to do.
Yes.
And it wasn't easy. It took me a lot of courage, and I think um, I got a lot of people who weren't believing that I would throw a career away, which was giving me a nice fat paycheck and a great designation, and everything that you can do with money, basically. But for me, it was more like breathing. It was a simple activity of getting in more oxygen and feeling more alive.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm able to get everything else while I'm feeling alive, then why would I
Yeah.
give that away, right?
And you've extended yourself into, advanced kind of executive trainings and psychodrama.
Psychodrama is very interesting.
And yeah, you really, your journey is really interesting.
I
Must
think
say.
once, yeah, I spent the first 13 years of my career in the corporate sector, right? I was leading teams, and when this course happened, and this was kind of an awakening. Um, I realized that this is what I love to do. This is what I loved to do when I was 7, 8 year old. This is what I loved to do when I was 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Now, how do I translate what I love to do into work? Right, and that's where this journey started into the world of training and coaching. And side by side, I was also an actor, so I acted on stage. And I started acting
you
full time
had-
on stage. Yeah, so that was my fuel and my passion, right? And I I think sorry, I lost my train of thought. What did you just ask me?
What did I just ask you?
Yeah.
So anyway, let's just go into.
This also happens.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, no,
Yeah, but what?
so I was telling you. So okay, yeah, I'm back on track now. I
Yeah.
think one of the things was that once I discovered that I want to work with people, I was hungry to upskill myself.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yes. Huh.
And it was very effortless. So I enrolled into various courses first to understand myself. So if anybody were to ever ask me that we want to get into coaching or training, I think one of the first things I'm going to tell them is to work on yourself.
Yes.
So to create more self-awareness.
Yeah. To do anything, you work on yourself.
Brilliant, right? So then I said, okay, so then I threw myself into workshops, right? Just trying to understand myself
What
better.
fun! What a lovely choice!
It was awesome.
If everybody just chose to be themselves
It was
and followed
amazing.
their, joy
It
and
was
passion.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it was effortless. So that was that was great. And then I started studying more. So went to Columbia University to do my coaching certification. I wanted to, even though I was coaching, I loved going deeper, like I mentioned earlier, and understanding people better and working on really the root, not just the symptoms.
Yeah.
So doing
That's
some
well put, yes.
yeah, doing some inside out work. Thank you. So I did Gestalt therapy, and I did transactional analysis. Then I did a course called Psychodrama, which was, which started by J.L. Moreno way back in 1930. So I think while I was training to be a facilitator in these courses, I was also learning more about myself. And then I learned that I love being in the classroom. Like I love learning. and the way I can truly help other people is by constantly keeping myself fresh and young and constantly learning.
Yeah.
Right? Because I didn't want to dictate how people want to transform. So I wanted enough arsenal. So somebody may, on someone I may be working with through Gestalt, and with someone I may be using NLP, neuro linguistic programming, because everybody is different.
I don't know. Maybe I have a very interesting point of view that all these theories, I'm sure they've evolved from when I read them.
Yeah.
And that time I said, oh, okay, what is there anything better? So they have evolved.
Yeah, but I didn't read them, no. I threw myself into the work. So, I was in a workshop, and if people, and they said, okay, who's got trauma? I have a lot of trauma. I'm willing to be experimented on. So I would raise my hand. I didn't read about it. I don't believe in reading.
Yes.
I'm moving away from the cognitive part, right? I'm saying, work on me.
Work on me.
I'm ready to open myself up.
And be vulnerable.
And be vulnerable.
Yeah. That's the biggest.
That is exactly what I meant when I said that work on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can't even start unless you open yourself up.
Yeah. And I believe, Harleen, that work doesn't finish in one go. So I did some work when I was doing Gestalt. I did some work when I was doing TA. Because there's so much that you've gone through.
And so still you could benefit from.
Exactly. So I told you I'm a forever learner, right? And I'm forever willing to say, okay, I've done this much work, but I haven't arrived anywhere. I'm still that kid who's curious and wanting to learn and find out more.
Yeah,
right?
And that is the trigger, the switch that is unique to anyone who has it. Be a seeker, learner.
Exactly.
We say it, but it takes a lot more than just luck and choice, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mystery, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what all it takes.
I know.
But
unless you dive into it.
But I think the only thing we can tell ourselves is, are we trying hard enough or not? Did we try? Right. So.
Yeah. And that's the skill. Trying is a skill.
Yeah.
Which probably leads you into boardrooms, into the spaces where you can actually deal with the people who
absolutely
matter, I guess.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think one of the things that one learns as a coach or a facilitator is, what is the process going on within you while you're working with people?
Yeah.
So it's not just about the other person. It's about
you.
It's about what's happening to you when this conversation is going on, and how are you responding to that inner world while you're responding to the outer world, right?
You don't have anything to teach anyone.
There's nothing,
except yourself.
Exactly. And the more you create a shift in yourself, you start seeing that shift getting created externally as well. So. Yeah, but all these come from experiences and the intent to explore more about yourself.
Yeah. So, is this infectious? Are those serious board members, open to?
That's a very good question. I think one of the other things that that I've also learned is to create psychological safety.
Ah.
Because if I feel safe enough, then I can open up.
So
I
how
can,
how do you do that?
I can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
There are quite
What
a
is called a
few,
safe space, I
yeah,
guess.
there are quite a few ways of doing it. I mean, uh, one is, of course, deep listening. Right? So listening more than talking, being fully present, creating a non-judgmental space, which means donning the role of an observer. Not giving so much advice as probably asking non-judgmental questions
Yeah.
in the service of helping the person think deeper.
And the body language.
And the body language, absolutely, the body language helps. Uh, yeah, there are so many ways of creating that safe space.
Yeah.
Contracting works sometime. That we right in the beginning, if it's a group, then having a little bit of a contract saying that this is how we will uh, interact with each other.
And if they're ready, then
If they're ready. Also, constantly observing if people are ready or not. Then you know how much you want to push them. How do you get back? Like take a step back instead of pushing them too much. So
yeah. Yeah,
all
it's
these,
instinct actually.
yeah,
Once you decided you're a learner and that you are safe to talk to
yeah,
or be
and
with. And then
that's
this probably works with your role as a father also and as a husband also, right?
I feel if if my wife, my inner circle, right, people who live with me day in and day out, if my wife and my kid can say the same thing that my clients in the outer circle say, then I know that I'm being who I am.
Yes,
Right.
yes. Actually, who we are these kind people looking for love, willing
That's
to
true.
give love. Only thing is, it's not safe out there. Is what we think, but we can.
Create
Sh-
safety.
we,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can
We can
create
create
safety
safety.
for ourselves and for others,
Yeah, yeah. We can create safety.
and that's not rocket science.
It's not. Like you said earlier, like if we start from ourselves, then we can create safety. Right? Everybody thinks that I have to do something here. Then we are all creating that change. So yeah,
So, like, there's probably not much technical understanding of how to train in a corporate situation. It is basically following your joy and being authentic and
yeah, to lead,
vulnerable
especially
to
to lead
lead.
people.
Okay, so
Otherwise, there's always going to be a skill and will component,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And the
yeah,
skill
yeah.
is something that the company teaches them. So we take care of the will and the attitude and the
Yeah.
behavior.
Oh, that's nicely put.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we don't know their skill. I don't know,
yeah.
how a rocket is made or what a doctor does.
Ah.
But I can still work with them on, on these softer aspects, right? So that they're able to do their job in the best possible manner, right? Because they are dealing with humans. So
Like, so say a skill, like, is it a skill of being able to take risk?
yeah, I feel you can work with someone and find out what is stopping them
Uh,
to take a risk when they want to.
when they want.
If they don't want to, then they've already made that choice. But right, and
But
we
it's important in today's
huh,
business climate.
but what I'm trying to say is, if I am somebody who says that I want to be able to take this risk, right, but I'm scared, then at least I know that there is that awareness. But there are some people who don't even have that awareness, so we work with them.
To
Yeah,
open up that
and you can
awareness.
work with both kinds of people, right? People who are
Yeah,
saying
willing
that and
to.
the ones who are not admitting to it.
Yeah.
But just finding out what are the blockages, what are the obstacles, uh, and preventing them from reaching their potential, right? So
So
that's
you
what we
can
work with.
just put people on a journey, on a path, but they have to walk it on their own.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But I think that's the beauty of coaching, that it's more exploratory. This whole thing of creating a non-judgmental space so that people are able to find their own truth.
And yeah, again, the space, because we don't have space. We're running from, one pillar to post and this to that, managing family, managing everything. So your workshops probably create that beautiful space which people can use.
When we have that opportunity, then of course, absolutely. Yeah. There's and theater, I feel, is a very
Just the thing.
very good medium, a very friendly vehicle, a very non-threatening vehicle to create that space, because theater is a lot about play. Like when we talk about theater, people start assuming there's going to be actors, there's a stage, but there's a lot that's happening behind the scene. As you already know, you're an expert in theater, right? So we use games. Theater
That's
games.
how children learn, actually.
That's how children learn.
You see them, playing, Papa ban jao, Mummy ban jao. So they're role playing, they're acting, and that's how they learn what life is about.
That's a natural way of learning.
Yeah.
So when we're able to recreate that in a workshop environment, then people start playing and their natural behaviors come out.
Yeah.
And then they experience those natural behaviors with each other. And we also gently provide feedback. People provide feedback to each other. Right? So we facilitate that feedback.
Yeah.
And then they take that feedback and they say, oh, I didn't know this, because they've now just got insight.
Yeah.
Right? So they're like, oh. And then again, that's their purpose or their wish to take that insight and translate it into action outside the workshop space. And that translates into performance, better performance at work. So I know it just sounds very simple when I say it, but there's a lot of work.
I'm sure. I know.
There's a lot of work.
I know. Yeah, you jump between, what you have learned about role play into, creating a space for yourself to learn about role play. For example, role play is really touted as the technique for
one of the many techniques.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Which people normally understand.
Yes.
So, and it goes on.
Yeah.
And you learn how to role play because you go to a workshop where you're vulnerable and you learn, and then you can use it.
Correct. Absolutely. Because a workshop is, if you're role playing or real playing or whatever the word is, to have a conversation or a tough conversation with, say, a direct report or even my supervisor, then it helps to be able to embody that, with someone like a coach in a safe space before you actually have the conversation, right? Because then when you've experimented it with it, you don't have that fear of the repercussion or consequence that you would have outside.
Yeah.
So you've experimented, you've got feedback, you've made some adjustments, and then you've tried again. And then you feel more confident because you've tried it.
And why not?
Exactly.
I mean, there are other time-tested methods, giving rewards or punishments and, balancing that. They have never worked, I think.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe in that. Yeah.
They don't work with your kids.
Yeah,
they don't work
that's
with
true.
anyone.
That's true.
And I think assessments also need to be looked at. Have you ever sort of looked at the space, because people are so petrified of the assessment which is going to come up and
I mean, I haven't gone really deep into it, but I just came across I think the only psychometric evaluation that I've got certified in is called the Leadership Circle. Yeah, so that's an interesting one. I'm aware of all the assessments and the psychometric evaluations like MBTI, and DISC profiling. There's one called Profit, and there are lots of them.
But
I'm not. I just feel that I feel again using psychometrics with people can be tricky in the sense that we've got to know who we're using it with and how are we positioning it, because people tend to box themselves, and then they start. The whole idea is to unbox them, right? Tell them that they have an open canvas of behaviors and attitudes to use, but this is how they're playing, right? They're playing small.
Safe.
Yeah, they're playing safe because of conditioning, trauma, whatever they've gone through, right? So we're trying to break them through this mold and tell them you've got the whole world. You can just pick up the colors and paint whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But with psychometrics, then we're again telling them that you're a certain type. So that's the little.
Yeah, there's something not right.
I'm not an expert in psychometrics, very honestly. I'm not the right person to ask. But I feel that I strongly feel that it's how you position it. Sometimes, and this is again in different cultures, sometimes people prefer a psychometric evaluation because it's more unbiased. So if I'm working with a client and I tell the client, this is what I say, because I've observed these things this is what the psychometric evaluation says,
They'd
rather agree with that. So even if what you're saying and the psychometric evaluation are saying the same thing, you can share the psychometric evaluation and then do your work through that. Right? So
So anyway, one question which is near my heart right now is how to work with Gen Zs. And how does it change? How does the coaching business, or whatever, coaching change?
Okay, so
when we are dealing with, generations which change after every couple of years. And the Gen Z is actually they're almost a new form of evolution.
I don't think that the principles of working with people have changed really. In the sense that anybody who wants to work on anything likes autonomy.
Yeah.
Right? Like I like autonomy. If you tell me to do something, but if you try to micromanage me, I won't like that.
I don't know. People, some people choose that slot in life where, they want to be told what to do.
But nobody's ever, there are very less who are telling you that, okay, tell me what to do. In the sense, once you tell them what to do, they're pretty happy doing it versus you micromanaging them. So I feel if you ask me what the Gen Zs would want, I would say one is autonomy, in the sense they want to do things the way they want to do it, at the pace they want to do it.
And on the timings they want to do it.
On the timings.
Flexible times.
Yeah, exactly. Right? So one is definitely autonomy. The other is, again, understanding. I feel the best way to work with them is to partner with them. I'm a learner, and the part of me that's a learner or has a learner's mindset doesn't look at hierarchy, which doesn't mean top, but also means a person who's at less experience than me. Right? Because I feel people who are born in a different time, in a different way than me, can offer something different. And that's where creativity and innovation comes from.
Yeah. That's the best ways to balance.
Yeah. So I feel just listening and understanding their way and then finding a balance. Having clear contracts, having clear boundaries. So I feel all these principles are very old. Right?
Yeah. But, do you have people playing games with you? Like, okay, their own 9 to 5, nokri kind of games, or, people do have.
People games with me.
That's how they learn to be in this world from the time they are born. So, how would you deal with that?
So your first question is, do you have people playing games with you? I'm sure they are. I probably don't get to know.
I love that. So it's not there in your world, so they can play as much as they want.
So I probably don't. Either I get played and I don't even get to know about it, which is okay, because as long as I don't know, I'm okay.
You're okay. Yeah. And the other person can try.
And if I do get to know and I feel hurt, then I share that I'm hurt. So my job is not to change the person. My job is to share how I felt. and then move on, because that's the energy, otherwise I'll contain, right? But I think once I share and then the other person also tells me what happens, then there's some level of clarity that
Yeah, because there is something deeper
there's something
to
happening.
any behavior.
So
Yeah.
I guess if we're humans, we're gonna have these plethora of emotions and
Yeah, and ways
people are
of dealing
gonna-
with the
ways of
world.
dealing with the world.
Even a baby learns.
Yeah.
रोऊंगा तो मिल जाएगा type.
Because you're not trying to survive at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, I guess. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, we all want to feel important and significant, and we want that attention.
Yes.
We're just trying to find our own way of getting it.
Yeah, and I'm happy that there's a person like you who is creating such honest and safe spaces
Thank you.
for people, and it gives me hope
Thank
for the world.
and same for you as well. I mean, I am I'm definitely trying, and I think my mantra in life is to be in service.
Yes,
Right.
I like that.
And yeah, so I'm drawn towards spaces where I can provide service.
Yeah.
And-
Wonderful. I'm so glad you made that choice you did
Yeah.
after Barry John's workshop.
I know. I owe it to him, actually.
Yeah.
He was teaching acting, but I learned much more.
Much more.
Yeah.
You always do.
And I'm also lucky to be sitting with you, because there's so much to learn from you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. What a wonderful conversation. Learned so much.
Truly.
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you for having me over.
Oh, thanks.